This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Grex Kondak, and you listen to Core World News, your all-net news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories from every sector of the galaxy. Welcome to a special news roundup and a recap. Ben and Adam's trip to Batuu.
All right, thank you very, very much, Grex.
Yeah.
I am very too low in my volume. But here we are. I was just recording base earlier. Here we are. I am on the scene. Thank you very much, Grex. It's good to hear from
we're
you.
Getting fired.
Yeah.
What?
He was, listen, as far as getting fired goes, Grex was the sweetest about it. You know, he only threw us around the room once or twice each.
A little bit.
You know, and it's not like we didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
But
Rex wishes he went to Batuu as well.
Yeah.
yeah, he did.
He told me he doesn't venture beyond the
He had a
Midwest.
secret room in Oga's Cantina, and I just saw just a parade of drinks. It was just like
Yeah.
it was like a
was
relay
amazing.
race going into his
Yeah.
private room.
I was shocked to find out he has a dew claw. that was terrifying.
That was terrifying. Yep. But anyways, so the first order of business here, we're actually, ironically, in our last few episodes here, we're talking about the news. And by last, I mean the end of one era and the beginning of a new. We've been misnamed a news program for about 299 episodes now. We do talk about everything that happens new, and we will continue to do that. But we're looking for a little rebrand, a little freshen up, and something that'll make us, you know, a little more accurate to what we do and what we are. As of episode 301, we will call it episode 1. So 2 episodes from now, we will be officially Star Wars Cantina Chronicles. And it'll be a place where instead of in our news desks, we're just going to go straight to the bar and speak with ourselves and with friends and speak a little more freely about our favorite, you know, parts of the galaxy and what's going in the galaxy, what's happening now, the ramifications for the future, what happened in the past that can help us predict the future, things of that sort. But it'll be more of an open forum. We've got a bunch of new things that we're going to be doing. There'll be a role-playing game we're going to cover. We're hoping to talk to more people. It'll be a brand new thing. So as of episode 301, which will be episode 1, you don't need to change anything. If you're subscribed already, you should still be subscribed. It's just going to be the logo and the name is going to change a little bit, but it'll be us, and we will be Star Wars Cantina Chronicles.
Yeah. Just, you know, new coat of paint. We're adding the cargo holding back to the Falcon, guys.
Evolve
We're
or
modding the
die.
Falcon.
Yeah.
We're really excited about it.
It's gonna be the same ship, same crew.
Yeah.
But I think a rotating guest this time around, which will be exciting.
Yeah, we'll get some more people in here. Maybe they'll be Star Wars people. Maybe they'll just be friends who like Star Wars. If you're a fan and you want to be on our show, call us. We'll work with your schedule and we'll get you on here. We love meeting new people who love Star Wars. That's like what we're all about. So I think it'll be great. But it's just going to be a little more open forum, a little more freeing. I don't think we're going to beep out curses anymore, conventional other curses. We're just going to try and be a little more, talk about Star Wars the way we do off air and just be your friends on this podcast.
We're taking off the restraining bone, guys.
Exactly.
And
Thank you, Grant.
I mean, it's still us, and we all still love Star Wars, and Star Wars is like our favorite thing. So don't expect us to suddenly turn into this the vial of hating Star Wars, right?
No, it'll mean a lot more
takes.
takes.
It'll be more
but
takes.
It'll be just honest takes and just how we feel about the current stuff that's out there.
And
and we'll have
still
bonus
love
episodes. We'll have
everything.
extra content.
Yeah, no, we're still all us. It's just I just wanted to be a little more candid rather than us trying to like present to people in some sort of way. That worked to a certain extent, but I feel like it was a bit of a misnomer. People coming to us thinking they would hear the news, heard a bunch of people talking about, you know, everything.
It's like I heard 7 spoilers and 3 theories, and then someone went on
and they're like, why is that podcast an hour and a half? And it's like, because we had stuff we wanted to talk about. This is your place, if you love Star Wars, to come and listen to a dialogue about what's going on in Star Wars at any given week. So we'll still continue to do that. And
We have that one guy who's crashed his freighter several times.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Just listening to us.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, if you got notes, talk to us. If they're, racist or homophobic, we won't answer you. But otherwise, let's go. You want to talk about Star Wars? Let's go. I love all theories and everything I'm seeing on the internet. So people really care and we really care. And it's just about putting your mind in the galaxy.
In a related note, I finally have delved into the reaction to the last Indiana Jones movie, and having spent 2 weeks forming my own opinion, I'm really enjoying hearing everyone else's takes, even those I don't agree with. It's weird. Once you've kind of so I've learned this is my new way. I'm just going to form my own opinion, spend a couple of weeks. So, that's my way of saying I'm open to y'all coming in.
It has grown on me.
Yeah.
I really do like the film.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grant.
I mean, real talk, I feel like I've evolved in the past 5 years. It was there was a time where I'd hear people talk about on Reddit about whatever it was. And I'd be like, I vilely disagree with you. And I feel like I need to say something. It's the point is you don't. You don't need to say something. It's there's no use arguing with anyone about moral ideas on the internet anymore. It's just what do you think?
Well, also,
what do you want to know?
Indiana Jones is it's a meditation on getting older, and it's if that's your story, that's your story. Yeah. So just if it's not your story, it's not your story. Just please,
different movies say different things
or
to different people, and some movies speak to me. I love the Batman. Everything Grant said about the Batman
is correct.
Is 100% accurate.
Yeah,
I still love that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It just it spoke to me in a single day in a certain way, and that's what I love about movies.
Yeah.
Is everyone has different approaches. And
exactly, and there's some very interesting creative takes, and people that are just got some interesting ideas and some less interesting ideas, and hopefully we'll have good ideas for y'all to think about and talk about.
I personally think the Batman should start with a Batman film should start with a glimpse. I think Batman should just be fantastical in a lot of ways.
I mean,
and so that's what I personally think would be the most interesting.
100% agree.
100%.
A silver metallic.
I also watched Batman the animated series, and Batman should have blimps.
There should be blimps. Step one.
There should be blimps. Is all I'm saying.
However, this is not a Batman podcast.
See, this is why Ben will even more in Cantina Chronicles.
Yeah.
Remind.
That is not. I will buy you guys spiked moof milk until you stop talking about Batman or whatever.
I think we might throw up our own cocktail ideas too as sort of bonus content for the show. That's going to be on all our handles, Instagram, Threads.
Question mark?
I know this is going to come as a huge surprise to you all, but we've been drinking every episode.
What?
But it's. The whole Threads thing.
Have I already finished my double Manhattan?
Third party. I'm not on Threads. I don't think I would join Threads any day.
Am I on Threads?
The pod's on Threads.
Yeah, the pod will be on Threads. I joined Threads just as an FU to certain people.
That makes sense. Did it take me 2.5 weeks, even after knowing what Threads is, when I certain things saw news reports about someone posting on Threads to understand what was happening?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Everything else, I lean on my wife to know about what's going on in the world, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
I guess.
So, whatever. Even in the short term,
we'll be threading. We'll be
one mega billionaire maniac dictator.
And honestly, I have worse gripes with Zuck than Elon, and I hate Elon. But
no, I was at the Sun Valley conference this week, and I had a great time. Everyone looked great.
Okay, all right. Well, we don't want this to descend too far into.
No. Please, we have to get into your guys' trip to Batuu because I was stuck at home looking out for the moisture evaporators. I need to know about your trip.
Adam, what happened last week? What happened?
We all, Ben and I and our significant others, went down to Batuu, went down to Florida to visit Disney parks, and it was really hot, but otherwise really great. And I think, if you are a Disney person and want to ask off air about all the other stuff, I'm happy to share. We spent a lovely day in Epcot, and then spent a day in I would say Hollywood Studios, but really we spent about 1/10 of our day in Hollywood Studios and 9/10 of our day wandering around Batuu, Galaxysedge. Yeah. I've talked about it before on this podcast.
This was your third time, right, Adam?
Third time in 5th time in 3 trips.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
I'll
call that
days.
third time.
I would say third time. And so I will say, from my perspective, I really needed to have Ben.
Adam gets on the Falcon and he goes.
I was like, flip that switch. Like, I mean, I will say the second time we went on the Falcon ride, I was the engineer, and literally I would just swipe my hand up from down and go every time I had to. So I had 100% because I'm like, anyway, not to brag, but I'm kind of awesome. So I needed Ben and Jenny there to experience it through someone else's eyes, if that made sense.
For the first time, this was our first time.
Yeah, and so that was really helpful because it's when you do something so many times, you kind of, the magic is gone a little bit, and it was so hot. And at the beginning of the day, I was kind of like, why are we here? Why am I here again already? Yeah. And then we took a little siesta and came back, and then I'm like, this place is great. Yeah. I'm so happy.
Yeah, the morning was tough. The afternoon was perfect. I have to say we really loved it. It was, exactly. The morning was a little hard for me. There was a lot going on. There's a lot of people, and it was 1,000,000 degrees.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, and the wet bulb temperature was lethal. It was like not great.
Yeah.
I love being shoulder to shoulder with people on like a balmy.
I have to say though, the people there were lovely. First of all, the service industry, top to bottom, in Disney, out of Disney, were amazing, which I didn't expect. And then even the other people that were there, they were lovely. Like, it was just an international crowd.
We only had one weird interaction, which we'll talk about later.
I don't remember.
Oga's Cantina.
That was not not great.
That also led to
a great
experience. Really lovely interaction with people that we'll call out later. But the one thing I'll say to kind of piggyback on Ben is that, like, a couple of times we had things where, like, I had to change the reservation, but it was in the 2-hour window, and so they're going to charge us. And I'm like, I'm just going to call. Or Carly and I would be like, I'm just going to walk up to this cast member. And you can see Ben and Jay were kind of like, wait, what are you what are you doing? And I'm like, don't worry, they'll fix it. And, like, that's the biggest tip for Disney is go to the guest experiences. They will bend over backwards to make it right. Like, they really want you to have a good time.
That's really good information because like Jenny and I are dumb, and Adam and his partner Carly are they've done this, and they know like the ecology of like going to amusement parks and Disney in particular, and they made the experience amazing. We didn't stand in a line in 2 days, so that was one of the reasons why I'm like, all right, I'm going to jump on this opportunity. They were just fantastic because Jenny and I would have been lost. So it's like, Rise of the Resistance, like average time is like 2 hours, 3 hours. We went through the line in like 5 minutes. It was fantastic to like know someone who knows the parks and what's going on. But I will say, I was hoping for Westworld. Like, I had a bunch of questions ready. I wanted to like interact with all the people who worked there and like talk to them about Star Wars and do all the things. And it was not that. Like, it wasn't that.
No.
You wanted to shoot first with Greedo.
Oh, it's not that.
We met up Monday afternoon, and Ben told me all the stuff, and I was like trying to play along when I'm sitting there internally going, "Oh, Ben's gonna get his heart broken. Ben's gonna get his heart broken."
So why doesn't? Wow. I feel like Star Wars is the perfect IP to open an entire park with that license alone.
I agree.
Sharing the park.
I agree.
Like,
and maybe that's why they're closing down
bigger experience. It might pay off.
I feel like the Star Cruiser may be closer to Westworld, that sort of experience. And we won't know. I encourage people to try and jump on it if you've got the money and the will. One of our bartenders seemed like authentically was like, no, do it. It's like, it's amazing. It's a great experience. And so I don't know, I bet it's great. And I bet that's probably the thing, but yeah, I think Grant, what you're saying is right. Like, let's give something for the diehards, there's enough of us.
What if you just do a Tatooine in like in Arizona or something like that?
I mean, you couldn't pay me enough money to go to
Arizona,
the heat might keep it away. Yeah, I know. Imagine right now. You don't even want to know the wet bulb temperature.
To really want to go there. No. Maybe not Arizona now that I think about it.
But no, it was, but so I will say, so there's 2 rides, and the rest is a gift shop. But the time we spent there at night, we're just like listening to the sound design, was beautiful. There's like this game, if you spend money for this like wrist affair to go with an app that's free. You can do all these bounty hunting and these other missions, which is really fun. My only like gripe with that was that it's very individual. And like I came there to hang out with Adam and Carly and Jenny, and like I didn't want to like go off on my own for hours because it would be hours. But the video gamer in me wanted to go off on my own for hours and just like and like dominate. So maybe if it was just Jenny and I, and like we could coordinate or something another time, maybe we'd do that. That's super fun because it like really gets you into the nitty gritty of this beautiful design of the park, and what is Batuu. Yeah. I don't know if there'll ever be a dead time there because it's like it doesn't just draw hardcore Star Wars fans. I've realized there's like these ancillary like Disney fans that because Star Wars is now a part of Disney, Star Wars is a part of their hearts. They've assimilated. The hardcore Disney people are like, okay, Disney, you're in my family now, and so there's a lot of those people there. You
encounter 3 types of people in Galaxy's Edge. You get your hardcore Star Wars nerds, which are the people that also tend to end up at Oga's Cantina. Which is nice. Like that seems to be like your refuge of just like, you're dealing with. Yeah. It's a reservation only bar, by the way. You can't just walk into Oga's. You don't have to pay for it, but it's you have to make a reservation. 45-minute time limit, 2 drinks. Minimum. If you make friends with the bartender, they will push that one along. I think we had 4. We did. We had 4 and we were there for over an hour. Just saying. 2. Nice. You get your hardcore Star Wars nerds. You'll get your hardcore theme park or Disney nerds. Who may or may not have seen a Star Wars in their entire life, but they're there for everything. And then you have the randos who are there who just like, I don't know, this is a thing and I'm supposed to do everything that's here, right? Yeah. So it leads to interesting interactions. And I told Ben my thing about Galaxy's Edge, and I'm going to say this, I'm just going to say this and then I'll unpack it after I say it, which is my whole mantra when I was a clerk. And my best line of clerks is, this job would be great if it wasn't for the effing customers. Yeah. And Galaxy's Edge would be great if it wasn't for all of the other people, which I'm not actually expecting the other people not to go there. I understand why they're there. I don't judge them for being there, but they're kind of ruining my experience. But it's not their fault. I get it. I have to say, though, Adam, like ultimately, most of the people I ran into were fantastic. Specifically, Brandon and Jamie, who we had cocktails with at Oga's, and they were lovely. They changed my mind. Yeah, if they're listening, they got a free koozie that's now out of date as we go, but they've got a vintage Core World News koozie. But they were lovely. We got sat at a table with them, and they were hardcores, and it was just so lovely to speak with them. Had a long discussion on how to show your kids Star Wars for the first time, what order. Yes. Which is a classic, classic conundrum.
A New Hope.
Yeah, that's, I mean.
I hope everyone.
Release order or machete order, which I always think is
get
really
out of here with machete order, man.
I'm not going to, don't worry, I'm not going to.
The original trilogy for a while. The original trilogy for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah, and then, when they want, they can move on to the prequels and sequels.
Because I need my kid to watch the original before she understands what special effects are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you have to understand the rudimentary special effects of their earliest special effects.
But no, I honestly, the people there were lovely. Like I guess I was expecting sort of my negative connotation surrounding Floridians, though my dad is one. And that wasn't the case. It was an international cornucopia of people that love Star Wars and Disney, and everyone was there to have a good time. And it was
the thing. That's the big difference between Disney World and Disneyland. Disneyland is made up of 50% Californians whenever you go in there because they get annual passes.
Oh, right.
When you go into Disney World, any park, less than 10% of the people there are actually living in
If someone shows up with a red hat, Kylo Ren just does like a sweeping backstab and just hits it off their head.
Dude, there was a part of that would be amazing.
That would be great.
There was a part of me that wanted to get arrested. I heard you could get arrested in that park.
Oh yeah, there's Disney jail.
And I needed to go use the restroom, and everyone else was at a restaurant. And just as I was leaving, it got swept by a patrol of the First Order, and it occurred to me, and I was like, I really gotta pee.
Yeah.
But I think the second time, I think getting arrested would be one of the things I'd want to do. And get shaken down because they do rough up everyone, but it's also sort of kind of in good taste and fun and all that. Yeah. But I definitely haven't seen the jail yet, and I want to see the jail. So
I will say, kind of building off what Grant said too earlier, is that when you go into so Galaxy's Edge is a smaller part of Hollywood Studios, which is one of the main parks, one of the 4 parks. And when you go in there, a large proportion of the people are in Galaxy's Edge. So it clearly illustrates that it's a draw for this park. Like it may not be that busy in the rest of the park, but it's wild in Galaxy's Edge. So it clearly is still a draw. So build it out.
Doesn't it sort of dilute the Star Wars brand if it's near a lot of other cartoon IP?
I will say
like
the reason it doesn't, when you're walking through, there's a couple things you can do on your way there, which makes it fun. One is to go on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad. I know that sounds weird.
Cute. It was a cute ride.
It's fun. Get a cocktail on your way over there, because the cocktail pickings are somewhat limited in Galaxy's Edge for walking around.
Rick was great, man. Our guy.
Right? Yeah,
Rick was awesome.
In terms of walking, that's right. But in terms of walking around cocktails in Galaxy's Edge, there's Blue Milk or which are heavy. But I have like 4 other places you can go to get your walking around cocktails. And then once you're in there, all the walls are so high that you are in Batuu.
Yeah.
Like you can't see or hear anything else. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. But you really can't appreciate the sound design until everyone leaves.
It's true.
And it was really nice. So we picked the latest bar reservation at Oga's, which is like 9 p.m.
Yep.
And so like getting there and then leaving there, that was amazing to just listen to everything. But it's a lot of things for sale. And and like so Adam and I got lightsabers.
So what did you guys order for drinks at Oga's Cantina?
Ben almost lost
my esophagus. Yeah, I got a Bespin Fizz.
You guys leaving Batuu was like the end of Dial of Destiny, and Adam had to like knock you out and drag you.
Oh, almost.
No, we had walked our way. It was great.
We had so much fun in Oga's.
What did you guys get? Tell me the order. What did you guys get?
I started with a Bespin Fizz, which was like a red drink and a flute, and it's on my Instagram and all that. But it had a piece of dry ice in a locked chamber at the bottom of the drink.
Yeah.
Which is like, I was like, wait, what is this? Because I've heard stories from my wife who's listened to every podcast that's ever happened. And she's like, yo, someone lost their esophagus drinking dry ice. And I'm like, I don't want to lose my esophagus.
Whoa. Yeah. Are you
but it was like locked in there and it's fine. So it was like bubbling and like the smoke was coming out of it. It was really, really pretty impressive.
I think I got the fuzzy tauntaun. Which I realized after I ordered it has that whatever that numbing spice is in, the tingling spice that's in it that made my entire mouth.
Oh yeah, you had like it had a foam that was like numbs your mouth.
Yeah, but it was delicious. Like it doesn't mess with your taste. And then after that, I was going into beer, so I was drinking. I think I was drinking the Trandoshan.
Yeah,
ale.
Trandoshan ale, and then there was the Gamorrean something. I had the Gamorrean ale, which was like, but it's like beer, but like that also has like usually some sort of fruit concept in there to give it a little different taste, and it was pretty good. And then there was like sort of a mojito, but with sage affair. It was like the Dagobah dancer or something like that.
That would be my first.
Yeah, and that was pretty. I mean, the cocktails are amazing. They're lovely.
Yeah, and then there's the Yub Nub, which is the one that comes in the souvenir mug or souvenir.
Yeah, so the Yub Nub's like a Mai Tai, and it comes in a tiki mug. And Jenny found this out the hard way, but like when you order one, what they will do is they'll package up a clean glass for you and give it to you on your way out. But she had already stuffed it in one of her bags. And they're like, no, we've already given you a clean one. Like, we know you get the thing, which is kind of funny. And we sat down next to a family. They had a bunch of non-alcoholic drinks. They had one called like the Bantha something. And they had like, it was like a milk and cookies. It was like blue milk with a cookie on top. And so those kids are still probably awake from 4 days ago.
I gave them so much sugar. As a father of a 3-year-old, I'm like, good luck to you tonight, my friends.
Yeah. But anyway, so it was great. So all right, to the two main rides, there was Millennium Falcon. My friends were kind enough to let me pilot both times. I did the Chewie seat first and the Han seat second, and both times I was terrible. And
it takes a lot of practice to figure that thing out.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of it, is that you sort of learn every move, and then then you get better. But that was cool. But it wasn't. It was cool. It was cool. It wasn't great.
It's a ride, I will say, that the first time I went on it, I was super, super lukewarm on it. And this is the 6th time? No.
Yeah,
sixth time I've rode it. I like it more every time. Does that make sense? Like, because I think once you get used to it, you can start noticing things, and you can start you're not paying attention to the game as much because you kind of know the mechanics and you pay attention to everything else. Yeah. But it is like overwhelming and not fun. Though Ben did get to do the jump to light speed, which they've changed. So the first time I rode it, it used to just be a button, which I remember the first time I was in there, I'm like, this stinks. Why is this a button?
Yeah, I had the lever.
Now they've changed it, which they did last time I was there. So I got to do the lever last time, which I'm like, that's why I'm like, Ben, you should be in the chewy seat.
Yeah, which was super fun.
So you get the lever, which is great.
Yeah, you get the whole emotions of it, but it's like the fact that it's competitive and you're like, oh god, and like Hondo and Naka is like in your ear the whole time, and I'm not a Hondo guy.
I don't really like why these super high end rides like they eventually get to this strategy of like, oh, it should be gamified with points, and I'm like, I think that's the last thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
then the Rise of the Resistance,
they want to make it.
It should just be like 4 different voyages on the Falcon and like scripted attack sequences and things like that. I don't know, like. Scripted like thread.
Take me for a ride. Don't make me do work.
Yeah, or just make it a little easier so it's not like such like a whatever. However, the Rise of the Resistance ride and all my friends, I don't know how long, Batuu's been there. It's been like 6 years or something, but all my friends have been like, dude, like no one said anything to me about it. They just just enjoy it, and I was like, okay, so like really high praise, and then I went on it, and I mean. My face was uncontrollably at full smile the whole time. Like,
there's a moment where the three of us looked over at Ben, and he had the biggest grin I think I've ever seen on Ben's face. And I was just like,
I think it's the biggest grin I ever had. I was just, and it was like getting shot at by the First Order, and like it didn't matter. Like everything, there was. I'm not going to blow it for you because other people didn't blow it for me. But it puts you in the galaxy. You're on this like crazy multi-dimensional multimedia interaction. And it's lovely. It's just lovely. And it was so fun. And like that alone was worth the price of admission for me.
The other thing,
this is Rise of the Resistance.
Rise of the Resistance.
And the other thing I want to let like 2 tips, for people who are going. One, do not do the standby lane, because if the ride breaks down or stops, they have to run it 3 times, and it's a 20-minute ride mechanic. So if you're stuck in line for an hour before it starts moving again, that's how my wife and I got stuck in line for over 4 hours the first time. Yeah. And by the time you get on it after 4 hours, nothing will make it feel like it was worth 4 hours. The other thing is that it's so funny. I had a moment of triumph, a drunken, cocky moment of triumph when our bartender was talking to us about it in Ogus, which I did it. I did a victory sign, and then I'm like, I'm a nerd and I feel bad about myself. But most new theme park rides.
Isn't that what we say at the end of every pod?
Pretty much. But most new theme park rides have A mode and B mode. And B mode is when something goes wrong, but you can still ride it. So like one of the animatronics isn't working, and so it takes it through a slightly different thing. It doesn't show you everything. A mode is when everything is working and nothing is wrong,
which is apparently rare.
So this is my 3rd time riding it. This is the first time riding in A mode. So Ben, you and Jenny are very, very lucky, and I will say this is my 3rd time riding it, and now I get it. I really, really liked it the first 2 times. Now I was blown away with knowing what everything that can do and seeing things I still hadn't seen before. And so if you're lucky enough to ride in A mode, it is amazing. One of the most amazing rides ever.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah. All right. A lot of our fans have probably been on in Galaxy's Edge, so we're probably boring them to death. But it was a great time.
But do tell me this, though. This might tie to the news items that we're going to cover momentarily. In those during the rides, are you hearing the voice that the actors like Daisy Ridley?
Yes. Not only
are you hearing their
not only hearing, you are seeing them.
Yeah.
Their voices though are being used though, right? Like they did the ADR,
and they actually did visual like performances. For the rides.
So this might tie to so this ties perfectly to Bob Iger and what he said about the SAG-AFTRA strike and AI and the use of an actor's visage and voice and sort of what's going on with and why he maybe said that their expectations are unrealistic and that this is a massive disruption, and he's just said all these negative things about the strike. Maybe he's saying this because the rides already use licensed voice material from actors, from their characters, from the
paid actors performing for money.
Yeah,
it's
part of their
definitely
contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the Disney contract. If you sign it as an actor, it will say in those things, we may require you to come in to record additional dialogue and performances for theme park rides. Like, it's in there, right? I don't know if I think is a negotiation that they get paid extra for them. And one of the funnest things I have now, I've done it several times. We did this on Guardians of the Galaxy ride, Carly and I. We're like, that person cared about their acting. That person really didn't want to be there that day. Like, watching theme park acting is one of the favorite things. I will say for Rise of the Resistance, they all wanted to be there that day, or got paid enough
Daisy Ridley in particularly killed it.
So good.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac. Well, I don't want to say everyone who was there, but but Daisy killed it. She's in there, and she was fantastic. So yeah, it is. I mean, so like onto the Iger stuff. Like, have you guys heard more than what I heard? Because the stuff that I read was abysmal. I mean, it's emblematic of what's going on in the world right now between the working class and the billionaire class, and the like void disconnect. It's just sort of like
the thing that's scary about it. Yeah,
it's just sort of he's like, why now? Why are you doing this? But it's like clearly because like it's a dividend on like something that he and his shareholders care about. But it's no, like now because you're clearly exploiting us, all of the workers, all the working class, including the actors, even though they're making millions of dollars, they're still like newsflash, like even they are working class compared to the billionaires that are running this thing. It's just,
and this is the guy who loved putting content first and putting talent first, and
so
not focusing on the shareholders so heavily. And it's upsetting that he's made these remarks because it's lost a lot of trust, I think.
Yeah, especially after coming right on the heels. I can't remember if it was before or after, but he has a contract extension through 2027 or 2026.
He made $58 million in the first 2 years of his like contract coming back. So it's like, dude, stop. Like, totally stop.
What is so scary about it is the disconnect of just saying these things. Like, I understand it. You have to go back to your shareholders. You have to make a profit. That's the problem with all these things. It's profit. If you need to always be growing. Never.
That's why we can't. That's why we can't bring AI into the mix.
I know.
Systemically either, because not even just in creating art, but just it's going to be like if AI runs stuff, it'll be all about performance to the point where things are just lost to the wayside.
It'll be a wasteland.
Yeah. With more efficiency.
But
are basically
my whole thought is like,
with more efficiency.
So I understand that, and I know he knows that, but the disconnect of to say the unsaid stuff out loud is wild, and think like, you're gonna win over all people who are working schlubby jobs and whatever. And like, again, I belong to quite a strong union, so I'm a union guy. I grew up literally on picket lines with my mom, who's a union organizer. So this stuff I'm especially, affected by and triggered by. But like, to even an average person who has no experience with the unions have to look at this and say, this is wild. Like, say this stuff out loud.
It's unfortunate. I ultimately think Bob Iger is probably gonna help the Star Wars IP overall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know why I think that, but like I just remember like when he took over, and based on where it was going before, I thought it'd be all right. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I trust Kathleen and Kennedy, and that's pretty much it. Like I know she cares about content first, and it's not so much about bottom line with her. But she has masters she has to answer to, and it's these billionaires like Bob Iger. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, he's gonna get eaten alive for these comments, and.
But they're all just tone deaf. Like the guy who went to do the BU speech and just got like the day after this got booed off stage. Like, Aslan, thank you. And again, it's just wild. I'm not thinking that would happen. Like thinking that they're the folk heroes. They literally see themselves as the folk heroes, which is wild.
Wild. Like
industry heroes.
like Iger
resurrecting the theaters.
Yeah.
Like
Iger's like I'm here to champion
the
movies.
advent of streaming. I was there. It's like. A lot of this content, like your libraries, like if you guys are curating your libraries, they're awful.
Yeah.
All of the libraries, I think, like I belong to so many
I know,
streaming services.
and I can never find anything I want to watch. They're horrible,
ridiculous, and terrible.
Yep.
And there's no curation.
There's no curation. There's no.
So what have you? What's the start of
algorithms. I don't know.
what? Tell me what you've started here, because there's not enough in most
They
cases.
created
And then
the pyramids.
what's there is kind
of the pyramid scheme of streaming that cannot survive. It's mathematically impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I do like that Iger's trying to bring it back, and I guess Kathleen Kennedy is to get credit for it, but concentrating Star Wars back into that
the only way you make money is in the movie.
So exciting.
I mean, I have to say though, I love all these live action TV series, and I hope they continue. And there might be a little drop off for a while, though. We'd still have Acolyte, Mando 4. We have Ahsoka coming up right around the corner.
Andor season 2.
So we have a bunch lined up. Bad Batch season 3.
But when you look at it all, Andor really is the standout.
Oh yeah.
Just I think acclaimed product, and I once we've established that that's the tier of excellence, maybe we kind of just hold back on in shows where it's just the volume and characters going through sort of samurai Western stories.
100% agree from a creative standpoint and from like all the awards. But did any one single person pay a single extra $1 to Disney Plus to watch Andor? And my guess is no. Which is then it made $0 for the company.
No,
maybe. But what if you have 3 Andors and then there's cute sort of like characters that you can merchandise, and you have like just the tier
merchandisation? That's a good point. Merchandise is important. Yep.
So all those like award nominations were just announced, and Andor and Mandalorian like kind of swept. There's a bunch of people in there, but like, isn't that just Bob Iger like passing a lot of money to the right people so that like it would get attention? Because I think that's where it gets. It's like when people are like, oh, there's a lot of like attention around this Andor show, maybe I should watch it. Maybe it's worth watching.
Well, I think
the
giant battle sequence of Mando is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, same with Mando, but it's like the more popularity they get with these award shows that are completely contrived.
It's also a lot of little people going, I heard that show mentioned in this, so probably I'll vote for it type of thing. Like, not to get
but I'm just saying, like, all of that is press. It's like it's all just like things, and I mean, I would like to think that enough people said Andor was amazing. I've told everyone that I've ever seen that Andor is like amazing, and I hope they watch it.
It's quite possibly one of the best television shows I've ever seen.
It's astounding.
Like, full stop.
It's astounding, and that's not to take away from any other.
It's like
it's not to take away from any other Star Wars property, because like I'm rewatching Rebels now, and I had the same feels, and like in Obi-Wan, and like every there's all of them are great in their own way, but Andor is really special. I mean, and they all give me the Star Wars feels one way or the other, that same great feeling, but like Andor is like. It's stunning. It does a special thing. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right.
We did just get a new trailer for the show that's right around the corner. Ben, do you want to share your thoughts? I think you're the last one to do it.
I did. So I was like not gonna watch it because I'm like, I just want to go into Ahsoka, and I just want to love it, and I just want to see what happens as it unfolds.
Do you love it?
But then, I've got this podcast and y'all watched it. So I'm like, I don't want it. And then my face melted off like, 5 minutes before we started recording. Cause it's like, we've got Ray Stevenson saying like he knew Obi-Wan Kenobi in there. There's like, people talking.
Or he knew Anakin, right?
Anakin. Oh, sorry. I said Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm sorry. I meant Anakin. Thank you. We've got Sabine Wren talking about like, or people saying like, are you force sensitive to Sabine Wren? You have no power. I mean, really, really amazing stuff. I think it's going to be great. I just started my
Sabine Wren calling Ahsoka master.
Yes, yes.
That's pretty big character development.
Yeah, what's that about?
That's possible Jedi training,
but she's not force sensitive. What's going on?
Yeah. She could be.
She could be, but she's
unless
not.
she is.
No, she's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's not.
Sorry,
I don't think. But it's like, but there's a lot that Ahsoka. There's a lot of Ahsoka could teach anybody, right? So maybe she's a master in a different way, which is leading to something else, which would be really interesting too. It looks fantastic. They're going to approach a lot of things. I also just started my Rebels rewatch today, and it was stunning. Like, this is my 4th time, I think, going through it, and it's like each time it gets better. And I mean, like, even with the films, I just watched like Rogue One and then A New Hope, and I mean, I caught 10 new things in A New Hope, like, and I've watched that movie a million times. Like,
that's why it's my favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah.
It's every time I watch it, I'm just mesmerized. Yeah. I think I'm not mesmerized for the other films.
I agree. There's a certain feeling I get when I watch that.
It's also that, like, every new installment sort of refers to it in a different way, and so, like, you're like, oh, that's just like this thing I saw in Andor, or that's just like this thing I saw in Rogue One, and like the way they connect, like, the synergy.
Is Luthen not alluding to Luke in that sunless, made my mind a sunless space, like,
maybe
speech? Is he not alluding to Luke in a lot
of
ways? The
promise of Luke, like, there could be a new hope. I mean, a main part of Rebels is the last transmission from Obi-Wan Kenobi from the temple, and it's like, that could be the greatest monologue in Star Wars, honestly. Like, it's just, he's just like, I'm here to remind you to trust in the Force always. Don't go back to the temple. Things aren't good there. But, but like, the whole thing was like, and if we persevere, a new hope will emerge. And I mean, it all ties into the same thing.
There's like a wonderful reluctant hero refusal of the call kind of thing with Luke and Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan just handles it so deftly. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, this is just how a mentor should be. It's like, the door is open, sort of thing. Yeah. And it's just wonderfully, I think, healthy. And it's such a healthy adventure. And I just love it.
Yeah, he's like, it's so funny because, like, Luke is late. Like, he is a late bloomer. And that's Obi-Wan's guy. And he's like, I can't be bothered by this. It's either going to happen or it's not. And then he's like, do you want to maybe give it a shot? And he's like, and Luke's like, no. Gets the classic refusal of the call. And then Luke's like, all right, I'm in. It's just like, but like at the last minute, after knowing that, like Obi-Wan knows Ezra's out there. He knows Kanan Jarrus probably is out there.
Right.
He knows Leia Organa is out there. He knows, like, there's all these very strong people are out there, but Luke is playing with toys at 17 years old, and and finally just comes around and sure enough saves the galaxy. Like, wild.
Well, who's to say Filoni's not setting Sabine up for a Luke type hero's journey in this show? And that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
just in this trailer, it looks like a full-on mythical, warrior in training sort of story for Sabine. I'm super excited for that. But guys, we've been tossing around some theories about the two dark Jedi that have been featured heavily in the two trailers thus far. We have Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. Adam, I think you had a theory. I was, after you said something, I basically started pondering and about connections to some of the novels, Zahn novels, if you will. Do you want to share your theory that you talked about before we got on there, and sort of like how it could connect to that novel?
Sure. I mean, it's very straightforward, and so all I'll say about that is, like, it's it's not like I'm reinventing the wheel. I'm wondering if he's going kind of very base level, which is like, if we're talking about what's his fake name in this, Baylan Skoll. Yeah, that fake name is not his name. It's not going to be Baylan Skoll.
We're really starting.
Yeah, it's not his name. Okay, all right. Wow. Even if it's not the name I think it's going to be, these are not the names. And like, if you're going from Heir of the Empire, which we will cover before Ahsoka, the Heir of the Empire trilogy, which they name check in this. We have a dark Jedi in this, a clone of a dark Jedi named Seaboth, who knows Anakin or knew Anakin and went on the outbound flight with Anakin, which is where they met Thrawn. Sorry, and I would do it every time. Not the author.
Jedi Master Joruus C'baoth.
Joruus C'baoth. So like, it's just like, I don't know if they're going to go the clone route, or he's just been frozen, or he's
here's
them.
my Can I share my
please,
theory?
because mine's very basic. So I'm
gonna extrapolate
so
on yours.
Yes, because it's going to be
gonna
it's going to be an extrapolation on this. So I'm really fascinated.
I'm gonna build on yours here. I think that they might be just a part of this whole like journey into deep space, basically. Like, the further you go out in the galaxy, the crazier the stuff is that you find, basically. And I imagine that they will find that outbound flight, like the 6 cruisers strapped together with that like giant fuselage thing, like eco chamber. And like they might find that, and that's where those 2 Jedi might be. Maybe. You know what I mean? Like
I don't think I ever read Outbound Flight.
Product of deep space, and like they're discovered basically in the far reaches of the galaxy.
So let me just bring this back for a second, guys, and then you can run wild. But because I am not as well versed with the expanded universe pre-canonization as y'all are. So we're talking about Heir to the Empire, the Zahn book, and he had a trilogy with Thrawn. But I thought they were the first books to sort of come out.
Well, there's a prequel book.
Yeah, it's prequel.
Called
and Outbound Flight was before it. Okay,
came out post prequels. So it was
can you guys sum up what happened in Outbound Flight for me real quick?
There was an outbound.
I don't remember.
I know they wanted to go. It was like a trip. Then they wanted to go explore outside the galaxy, right?
Yeah. It was like a colonization trip into the far reaches of the galaxy with this giant mega cruiser type vessel. And there's like 16 Jedi on board.
Anakin's on
Jorah Sabaoth has like all these plans to like raise a Jedi world, or I don't know what, settlement or something.
It's been 20 years since I've read it, but like that's where like you kind of have Thrawn interacting, kind of getting familiar, aware of who Sabaoth is and other stuff, and also getting Anakin's interaction, because really the whole thing about it is when you read it is it's clearly that Zahn and wanted to figure out how to bring in the prequel era. Yeah, because it wasn't there, right? When Heir of the Empire was first written in the mid 90s, right?
Yeah,
there was no
exactly.
stuff. So, yeah,
I see.
And meeting the Chiss and like
exactly.
The Chiss are out there.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me because like at the end of Rebels, Ezra and Thrawn basically just are launched out into the distant stars, and
that
like,
could be
that's where Thrawn excels. He basically is from the unknown regions. Like this is where he's probably familiar territory they're going to. Just I can't imagine that he's not using like Chiss cloning technology. Yeah. Or if these Jedi are clones or something, like I wouldn't be surprised.
But those
he is now coalesced with the Chiss and has all that technology.
Purgles, like they aren't bound by the galaxy. They can go into other galaxies if they want to. They can travel sort of wherever. So we don't know where they're going. But yeah, so for all of our listeners, we're going to be covering Heir to the Empire and the next 2 books in that series because they've been, like, Adam said, they've been name checked, and I think they're going to inform what we see in Ahsoka. There's going to be some fun, juicy tidbits there. And I haven't read them in a long time, maybe never. I think I read Heir to the Empire, but it was like, again, 20 years ago. So it all feels brand new to me.
I kind of like the redressing with Ahsoka and Sabine versus like, Mara Jade and that guy she's working with. Like I like the new stuff. Yeah. I like this new take.
Yeah.
If that's what this is.
I'm still banking on Shin being Mara Jade, but we'll see.
Okay.
Because the other thing that Filoni loved to do and he didn't get to actually finish in Rebels or in Clone Wars and Rebels is kind of a Jedi going undercover and falling to the dark side while being undercover a little bit.
Well, right? In the book,
we got it in the book.
That dynamic can still take place, but it doesn't have to be a Mara Jade.
No, but it'll be a Mara Jade-like character. Is my
they're not going to that might happen.
Just for people at home, the book that we're talking about is called
Heir to the Empire.
The first no. We're talking about the
Jedi falling.
It was the unpublished Clone Wars arc that they changed into a book.
No, Darkness Rising. I think it was Delilah S. Dawson.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Ben's
Dark Disciple.
Dark Disciple. Thank you,
Grant.
Thank you, Grant, for that awkward pause. But the Dark Disciple was the unanimated 7th season of the Clone Wars. in which that there's an elaborate.
I think you still gotta.
It's worth reading. Just read it. But
it's
essentially,
really good.
They hatch a plan to send Quinlan Voss undercover to become a dark side adept in order to get close enough to Dooku to kill him. And and he does it by seducing Asajj Ventress, and it's like, it's amazing. It's great. It's a fantastic read.
And we're talking about Heir to the Empire, which is we're gonna get Palpatine name checked a ton in this series, right? Like Palpatine's legacy, and it's hard not to have the hand, right? The hand of the Empire in this. Like it just feels like it's just right for it.
So in the expanded universe, the hand of the Empire of the Emperor was Mara Jade, who is a Force adept, love interest of Luke Skywalker in the Legends expanded universe.
And I don't expect them to go like full into bringing Luke in and having a relationship and having that, and we're never going to get the kids and all that stuff. But like, it's hard not to play around with that. That's such a fascinating idea, and we know Palpatine has had other dark side adepts working for him a lot, even if it wasn't his number two, even if it wasn't his disciple or his whatever, I can't think of the word. But I also have a few. You want to hear a wild theory?
Yeah,
this is another one.
Sure.
So there's that scene where Sabine is fighting her with a lightsaber, right? Which to me seems fine because we know that Sabine has been trained in how to wield
a lightsaber. Yes.
Right. So seems to work. There's a scene where she's reaching out for the lightsaber, right, as if to force pull it. Magnets. We're gonna get our first magnets as Force because what they're gonna do.
Second magnets because of
that's right. Kumail Nanjiani.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah. You're 100% right, but I feel like there's gonna be a scene where she pulls it to her, and it's gonna be like a misdirect of like, does she have the Force? And she's just gonna be like magnets.
Yeah,
it's my theory.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'd be a wild retcon if they made Sabine have the Force. I don't. That doesn't make much sense. She's already a Mandalorian, and she's a demolitions expert. How much cooler can she get? Let's just pump the brakes. But it's going to be wild. Was there anything else that stuck out to you? I mean, the whole thing blew my face off. I like that. It was an amazing trailer, but I feel like I've seen too much already.
Yeah, it was a lot of set pieces.
A lot of Hera Syndulla.
A lot of action sequences.
Yeah. I will say the thing that the Mandoverse has done adeptly well is misdirects with the trailers.
Yeah.
Or at least not revealing as much as we think.
Yeah.
To the point where like I so thought I had the whole arc of season 3 of The Mandalorian figured out. I think we broke it down. And I told you what all 8 episodes were going to be.
Yeah.
And like I was so wrong. And so I am so happy and so ready to be so wrong again.
I love being wrong about Star Wars. That means they've done the
what
work.
What is the planet where the Ysalamari come from? That creature.
Is Salamari. It is. God, I just read this like 2 nights ago. Wayland.
Is it
Wayland?
Is it the cloning planet?
No. Wayland is where Mount Tantus is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I thought it was a different planet because
that was like core or something, or like. Yeah, sorry, I don't have it. Why does it matter?
I think my favorite stuff in Heir to the Empire was like the Leia stuff.
Pregnant Leia.
Yeah.
With Winter, I don't know. My stuff is like so far so it's tough for me as like a hardcore like in Galaxy dude to read this. I mean, it's brilliant, but like
it's so good.
But it's like this. Like, I have to like in my mind like be like, no, that's not real, but this is real, and like, so I'm there for all the Thrawn stuff. Thrawn and Pelion is a huge thing, and Pelion made an appearance in Mandalorian season 3, so we know he's going to be with Thrawn, and so that's what leads me to believe they're going to be plucking a lot of this book. Into there.
Also, the Pelion stuff in the expanded EU is amazing. That character, I mean, spoiler alert, Ben.
Wait. I'm taking my headphones off. You can just wave at me when you're done spoiling it, okay?
Just has such a long, amazing history in the entire thing.
Yeah, one of the best. Written
really,
too.
Pelion.
Yeah,
he seems
Pelion.
like such a like mouth breather to me. All right.
Oh, well, we'll talk after we've read all the
I like
books.
Thrawn to have an admiral to bounce things off of. I like that.
So far, he's just been, and I'm really early in Heir of the Empire, but he's just like your classic peon that's like doesn't understand Thrawn.
Yeah.
But they all of his his proteges become brilliant by the end of the book. So.
Yeah, and they all witness Thrawn's just calculating.
Because he teaches as he executes. He's not, Yeah, we'll see. It's like I'm just interested to see like how they make Thrawn a bad guy, because he was the protagonist in all the books. In canon, he's had 3 trilogies now.
Yeah.
And we've been rooting for Thrawn and all of that. And then, but in Heir to the Empire, he's not as great a guy. And
no,
he's got to be a villain in this thing. And obviously he was a villain very much so in Rebels.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's got to jumpstart this cloning process, guys.
Yeah.
He's got to.
Yeah, cloning.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What part does he play in the cloning of Palpatine?
I mean, if he's figured out how to clone Force-sensitive people, that's a pretty big jump to Snoke.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it leads to Snoke, but it's not perfected. But it's like, if you get a Sabath or whatever, then it has been perfected. So that sort of, what's the disconnect there?
Well, we don't know where this falls in the timeline, and we do know that what's-his-name, the cloner from Mando Season 3 got his mind wipe. Brain erased. So we don't know if prior to that, He helped create these 2
and
clones.
we know from Mando's,
one clone.
Right, in Mando Season 3, that Moff Gideon got close, but he didn't complete it, but he got close, and that got...
I'm still convinced Pershing is involved with Snoke's creation, because I like the idea of him being like a warped sort of mad scientist.
Yeah.
Having that abomination.
That would be fun.
It would be great. Yeah. It seems such a weird character to just... His arc doesn't feel like it's ended, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun if he made a comeback. But no, Ahsoka I think is going to be fantastic, and so that's why I'm going to do a Rebels rewatch. I've already started it. I'm going to read these books, and I think that's a good precursor. The Heir to the Empire Legends books are a good precursor to what we might see in that series. And I have to say, for the millionth time, Filoni is good, man. Filoni gets,
no argument here.
He gets it, and he can execute it. I mean, Rebels is still relatively early in his development, and the beats he has, just go back and watch the first 2 episodes of the first season of Rebels, and it's if you don't want to watch Rebels after that, fine, don't worry about it. But it's he gets it. It's all the right things, all the right beats,
just pure Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It's it's pure Star Wars.
Do you want to hear a weird?
And that just means action and lots of really fun, characters, ensemble, caper.
Yeah, great ensemble.
He just nails the serial action nature of the Lucasfilm Amblin nature of it.
Right, you have orphans and you have exploited peoples, and it's just everyone fighting, and it's what are we fighting for? And it's just to make the world better, and then. Where are the Jedi right now?
Ethics.
Yeah, the Jedi need to stay hidden, but every once in a while the Jedi need to come forward. I have to say, guys, I don't want to spring this on you right now, but if we had to do a Jedi ranking, your favorite Jedi ranking, have we done this in a while?
3, 2, 1. Yoda.
All right, that's number 1, right? But give me your.
You guys have to say.
Oh my
God.
God.
You guys all have to say Jedi.
I know, but my brain doesn't work that fast.
I mean, all right, let's say top 3. All right, so yours is Yoda number 1. Mine's is Obi-Wan number 1. Adam, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's the thing. I didn't want to spring this on you.
No. It's fine. I just my gut and not to copy is just Obi-Wan. I gotta go. I mean, look at my back shelf.
You have an Obi-Wan.
I have
collection.
a cube of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna steal it from Ben. Ben's love for Obi-Wan is pure.
We can both love Obi-Wan.
And mine
that's
is
totally
just,
fine.
I love him, but I also think he's kind of dumb at times. But I love his dumbness.
Okay. All right.
It's
we can
lovely.
talk about that later.
Yeah. Obi-Wan's up there. Definitely top 3.
I think Obi-Wan's one of the most fascinating and morally altruistic characters in all of mythology, and in especially modern mythology, commercial property.
Because we know what he's supposed to be, right? Like he's supposed to be the white knight.
He might be the worst teacher ever for like a sort of brash, chaotic youth. But, like, it was like, because it's Yoda. Like he does well with Yoda in that meditation chamber. I'm like, that was like, why not Yoda?
Because he wasn't ready.
Yoda can't teach everyone.
No, and he wasn't allowed to enter the order.
It was Obi-Wan or no one.
Any other circumstance.
It was Obi-Wan or no one.
No, it wasn't. That's the thing. It's an interesting subversion of the hero's journey, right?
No one. That's
because that was another refusal of the call. Yeah.
No, but that's the thing is like there's a refusal of the call, and his refusal of the call was like, yeah, I'll train him. Right, like that's not a refusal. Like he didn't go through that.
That's why he does so well with Luke later, where he's like, "You must do what you feel is right."
Of course, exactly.
So he's kind of leaving the door open.
He can't force it.
Yeah, so that's why he's the greatest character.
He learns from his mistakes.
I think, that's what I mean. Is like he's supposed to be this perfect white knight for like doing like all the things that are right and great for whatever in the galaxy. But it's like, as a teacher, he makes mistakes over and over and over and over again. But it's like, how does he deal with those mistakes and how does he face them?
Don't you think the sequels are a little upsetting in terms of like undercutting not just Vader, but like Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like that second time around, he did the right thing. He did the right thing with the pupil and saved the galaxy.
Well, you mean
the first time around, the galaxy fell.
Yeah, you could say that Luke,
and then the sequels are just like, none of that matters. It's the darkness looms, and I'm just like, what? Like, but that, it was really an Obi-Wan White Knight story in a lot of ways.
That's,
like the sixth film.
Isn't that the inherent issue with continuing a story, right? Like I was thinking about like to bring it back to Indiana Jones.
A little bit of,
Indiana Jones. He rides into the sunset with his father. 2 more films.
Yeah.
Why? It ended. I mean, granted, I like the last movie quite a bit, but like
I actually like Dial of Destiny as a nice ending.
I do too. I think they found a way, but like it's hard to do that, right? Like you have to recomplicate characters.
And I will say with like Luke failed with Kylo with Ben, but then his second time around, like Ben's second time around, he succeeded with Rey. Yeah, and he was dead just like Obi-Wan was.
But it's truncated. It's kind of like boom, you know all this stuff.
But that's the same thing as Yoda with Luke. But isn't this in like an inversion of Obi-Wan? Obi-Wan fails the first time with his pupil, succeeds the second, fails and succeeds. Right. So does Luke. Right. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Right.
He fails
Luke
and succeeds.
Fails and succeeds. Right. So not an inversion. It's the exact same thing. It's a tone poem. It rhymes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this is the whole point was
no, but it also says that Obi-Wan didn't solve the crisis in the galaxy. Therefore, his heroics are kind of null and void.
I mean,
and also Vader didn't stop anything and redeem the galaxy, redeem the Force or save the galaxy because the Emperor was still alive.
You can always make the argument that it's pushed. So I like to be devil's advocate. You can always make the argument that like didn't matter. They were moving the chess pieces in the positions that got these other next generation to be the people who actually did it. But also in 10 more movies, you could be like Rey and Kylo are actually the people having to move the pieces in the board to whoever like Schmigmed and Thingfed who actually saved the galaxy.
That's why extra galactic threat would have made more sense. Like if Thrawn was used in the sequel trilogy and they kept it more extra galactic, it wouldn't have robbed the legacy characters of their accomplishments.
Right. The Sith have been defeated. Now it's a new threat.
No.
Yeah. Exactly.
Listen, I can't unhear that, and you've said it most of the times, and I get it.
Sorry.
No. It makes a ton of sense.
More on Cantina Chronicles.
Yeah. I mean, I can get it too. It's just like it does also make a lot of sense that he came back. But the bottom line is that like if you're really going to look at the whole thing as a whole, the most crucial.
I'm really just setting up a stance, and I want to hear like a counter argument that basically like I'm happy to sort of
basically
assimilate.
Rey Skywalker would be in
critical consensus.
Rey Skywalker and Luke Skywalker would be in no position to stop the Emperor if Vader didn't throw him down a shaft. Like that bought them the time to regroup, build their people up, train another generation of Jedi, and then get to Rey, who could finally finish him off in the last battle. But like, she doesn't do anything unless Vader does his part there.
Who is not a child of trauma as Luke was, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just more of a pure individual.
Yeah.
That everything.
I like Rey as a character. I think Rey
she's
is
fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I'm just wondering. I just think Palpatine's return in the third film was just an odd move, unless it's like set up in a deeper way.
100% agree.
100%. Yeah. Not set up in the corral of the last movie. Yeah. I mean,
if Snoke actually made more sense to me, if that was kind of the resulting Act 3, Film 3 thing, and
he's actually Palpatine.
That's not Palpatine. It's like not Palpatine. It's like some sort of like Luke clone or something.
Yeah.
Like some kind of abomination Luke clone that escaped from a tube or something. Like that is to me far more interesting.
I 100% agree.
Like a new story that doesn't affect the heroics of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and gives Rey and the new generation their own odyssey.
Yeah, 100% agree. The whole point of this conversation, though, was to get you to your second favorite Jedi.
Oh yeah, second favorite Jedi. All right.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, do you want me to go first? Because like I have a second favorite Jedi, and you can all think about it. I know Grant's is Qui-Gon.
No, that was
Qui-Gon.
I think Adam's is Yoda.
No, mine was actually gonna be Qui-Gon too. Now I feel like I'm just copying everyone. I'm like, let me go first.
No, but I have to say
don't let me go.
And I love Qui-Gon, but I have to say, I think my second favorite Jedi is Kanan Jarrus. I just love that dude. Like
he's such a real like everyman Jedi.
Yeah,
like,
he's so flawed. He's like so just like he never had the proper training. He's just and he went on like a bender for 10 years. Like to just was because he was like, well, I don't know what to do, and then he found love, and he fell in love with the right woman who brought him back into like his real mission in life, and he readapted to it.
Saved him.
Yeah, and he didn't want to like train another Jedi, but one fell in his lap, and then he did the best he could with all his faults, and and then that story is yet to come on. But I think we have amazing things to come from Ezra. I think he's gonna do really, really cool things, and Kanan Jarrus's arc, aka Caleb Dune, is like he did just like fabulous. I just think he's really cool. Like he's green. Yeah. He's got like a green hilted lightsaber with a blue blade. I love his lightsaber design. I love his whole like character design and like who he is. And
you love that Freddie Prinze rant online too.
Not anymore, dude. Not anymore. Now that I know that it's fake, I've separated Freddie Prinze from Kanan Jarrus. No. I have. Yeah. I mean, nothing against Freddie Prinze. Like he can always redeem himself, and that's fine. And I did love that, but like now that I know that it's actually BS, and then there's other problematic ways, like whatever. I mean,
I don't think it is. We can litigate that again. That's another conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
that's like a second pick.
Yeah, too. I just really like Kanan Jarrus a lot. I think he's very, very cool Jedi.
My third pick's gonna be new because I forget that original list we made a while back.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Third pick. When do you guys want to go first?
I'll go first, so I don't feel like I'm aping. But and it's this may change in a matter of like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Ahsoka is number 3. I love that character's journey. I love a person who can walk away from the Jedi Order and yet like completely own what the Jedi Order is about. Like see that it's going the wrong direction and like just completely live. And so the other thing I was going to say is like before we were talking about this with Sabine is just like I think Ahsoka's philosophy is going to be like the teachings of the Jedi are not just for the Jedi. Like these are important lessons that everyone should learn and can evolve and be better by, right? And so by training Sabine and letting Sabine call her master is not like Jedi and Padawan. It's this teaching of what the importance of being a Jedi in terms of a way of encountering life.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm hoping I'm getting from this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just going to echo that. I wanted to say Qui-Gon 3, but as my third, but like the thing is like Ahsoka is really Qui-Gon evolved.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like I think Qui-Gon, if he lived, he would have left the Order to train Anakin.
Yep.
If they didn't let him, he was on that path, but he didn't. And I mean, we'll never know, but it's like Qui-Gon is pure what is the will of the Force, and he doesn't care about doctrines and dogmas, and like that's why I like him, and like that's why I would have picked him third. But like Ahsoka, took that to the next level. Like in the height of like all of this madness, she was just like, you know what, guys, I'm out of here. And I mean, it took her getting arrested and whatever for her to really see the flaw. But she was just like, no, this is really reinforcing the way I feel about the Force. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's why you could say like Qui-Gon like was already on that way without getting arrested and doing all that stuff. But like, and Ahsoka was kind of forced out of the order and then made her decision and then evolved into the role. And we don't even know what she's become, which I think is probably going to be amazingly cool. But yeah, this is the ticket to what Rey will be studying, to become whatever the new Jedi Order is going to be. And
that's the thing, to know that she ends up being buddy-buddy with Luke, right? Like, that's a great scene of just like, I'm now here. Like, we have history. Luke and Ahsoka have history.
Longevity is another thing that we don't really talk about much. But Adam, you and I talked about it down at Galaxy's Edge. It's like Obi-Wan had this longevity, and that helps his legacy. Like he was he was a funny, like awkward Padawan, went on some great adventures, but he was always sort of like true to his cause. And then he made some mistakes, and then he had to deal with like his Padawan going to the dark side and ruining and destroying the Republic, and deal with all that. And then he needed to sort of reconcile that, and then really go back into the Force. He was forced to go into exile and go through the things, and then he became like really the coolest form of Obi-Wan, which is what we see him as an older man.
Yeah.
But Qui-Gon never got to be an older man, and we haven't seen Ahsoka as an older woman yet.
Yeah, not really. Not with any. Yeah.
My third.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm. I have two sage Jedi masters already who there's dialogue I absolutely adore. Did Qui-Gon make master? He did, right?
He was offered master.
He's just not on the council.
He was not on the council.
I think his master is not on council. Yeah, not on council.
I think you can't have a Padawan unless you're a master.
Right, and I think he had been asked to join the council, but he
declined.
Rejected. Yeah, he declined. Yeah. I think I love just the dialogue of those two characters I've chosen so far, but like there's also dialogue I love and a demeanor I love in a Jedi, and that's Mace Windu, like the martial Jedi who just deals justice and then just looks to the ground after he cuts off Jango's head. He's like, I had to do it. Like there's as he's swift action with Palpatine, like it's just everything about Mace Windu just doing like Guardians of Peace and Justice in the Galaxy, doing the whole Guardian part of the Jedi,
right?
Doctrine is so cool to me.
So cool.
Like, I think it's just missing. Like, I just don't see enough of it. We're in a very passive state with Jedi where they're like, how can I not hurt someone if I don't have to? And that's fine. That's Superman territory. That's great. I miss the days of the almost like the sort of like the Jedi just doing heroic stuff. And I don't want to say police work because I don't think they do that. I think they really do find they have mind powers. They know when someone's bad or not. It's not about
I mean
anything we can relate to. It's about what they do is just so cool when they do it and they execute it with a kind of skill.
To be honest, we see the Jedi failing most when they're tools of the political spectrum,
and they're indecisive and too passive, right? It's like Mace is like, this needs to be done. It's a tough decision. I'm gonna make it, and dude, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I think it's I want that. I would just like to see more from a Jedi like Mace. Yeah, and I would love a Mace prequel show. Like Disney Plus it's super surprising that we're just everything gloms onto the Mandoverse when I'm like, man, like a Lando show we've talked about, but like a young Mace Windu show, like what? Like that would be spectacular.
It would be really good. I kind of,
honestly, like spectacular.
My mind wandered to New Jedi Order, where it's like they could do that with a new character, and like actually, and
I mean they will, they're
but
gonna
like
do all this
also
stuff.
Like have that be one of the factors that Rey's thinking about. It's just like, what, Mace was right. And like, she learned about him and like what he did, and it's like maybe we need to deal out justice when we have the opportunity. When she's thinking about the High Republic and how many times the High Republic could have staunched things by being more decisive in the moment instead of just sort of letting things happen.
It's just like we're the audience watching this Dark Lord manipulate things for so long, and then the catharsis we get in the 3 prequel films is Mace Windu just calling 2 other Jedi to join him. And
Let's go
promenade into the it's just like one of the single most like rev your fist sort of hype moments.
It's on like Voltron
franchise film.
I know it's too bad we already knew how that was going to end, but But it was that was a great moment. And it's like there's so many times in these High Republic books where I'm like, I want that moment to happen.
Yeah, you almost want that moment again and again and
but
again.
They don't even know that like Marchion Ro exists, right? Until like end of phase 1.
Yeah, don't you want Jedi to just like roll up on Marchion Ro? Like it's like what we're waiting for basically. We're like, when are they gonna like find
Elzar
him
Man and like Keeve Trennis? That's my dream. Like do it in duology, and then the Charhound, and Ember,
yeah,
and who's his master? I can't remember that guy's name.
I'll remember it shortly.
Yeah, but like that would be my trio that I'd want to send into the room with Marchion Ro and just turn him into like Chuck, ground Chuck.
So to the Z, maybe? Are we in the Z? I was gonna get there.
I know. What is that guy?
Like
what is his name?
I thought you said Keeve Trennis. I thought you were right.
Well, Keeve Trennis is the female with a purple light whip, so she makes sense. And also she's just great and super strong. Elzar Man, I know, is like on the tip. Like Elzar Man's a guy that's gonna figure it out.
Elzar Man, I think we liked those chapters quite a bit when we were reading those.
Elzar's gonna figure it, and like Elzar is already he's a little Mace Windu where it's like he gets a little dark side, but like
he gets super dark.
Yeah, but like he's not gonna miss an opportunity.
I'm a big Ty Yorick fan too. If we're really talking about like
Ty Yorick can be in that squad too. I think she would get it done. And Elzar Man and Ty Yorick are friends, so that makes sense. What's that other dude's name? The Charhound. It's Loden Greatstorm's Padawan.
Don't go.
Come on, Adam. I'm vamping here, trying to get you.
I know.
I closed my laptop.
I know.
Oh man. There we go.
I'm working on it.
Anyways, that would be my dream, like foursome, I guess.
Yeah.
To go, and maybe Bell Zettifar.
I finally got there. I had to back my way around and Google the Charhound in order to get there.
I Charhound Googled too.
Yeah, that got me there.
Yeah, Bell Zettifar. That would be my dream team to like actually take down Marchion Ro. Though I don't think like Marchion Ro has a lightsaber,
way too many characters, right? Because at this point I'm like blending them, and I'm just like, what happened? Like,
I know it's a lot.
No, I know. As Ty Yorick stands out, Elzar Man stood out. Marchion, obviously.
I know. My girl's already dead. The one that I really love, the Wayfinder.
Orla Jareni.
Orla Jareni. Yeah. She would have been there, but she didn't make it. But I think that's probably of the people that are alive right now, the ones that I would send after Marchion.
All right. We should probably end this podcast before our favorite cargo pilot crashes once again.
Are you talking about Geode?
Geode. Actually, just put Geode there, and that would just be the end of it.
Like send Geode after him, and he's just like, now you're under a rock.
Done. Yeah.
Geode's the best cosplay.
Oh man,
ever.
Yeah, amazing. All right, was there anything else we wanted to talk about this week? I feel
Cantina Chronicles.
Yeah, we talked about
coming soon.
So 2 weeks we will be known as Cantina Chronicles.
Yes.
We'll show up in your feed the same as we always did. The same thing, but we'll just be a little more the same.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're getting a good preview of it with these next couple of episodes. So
yeah, we're already sort of there. Next week we haven't quite nailed it down, but I think it'll probably be another news episode. Or maybe we might just sort of review what we've talked
review
about.
and reflect. Yeah.
What went on for 300 episodes here that we've had, which has been a blast. And then, and then we will move on and hopefully have something special for episode 1. But pretty much we're going to be gearing up for Ahsoka. So, check out Heir to the Empire. Check out Rebels. Those are great things if you want to sort of be in the know when we see Ahsoka and all the little subtle Easter eggs and things that are going to go on in that. That should get you pretty well equipped.
Yeah. And we'll give you a bit more of a schedule with when we're going to cover those things coming up to Ahsoka, so you can read along with us if you'd like. Yeah. Indeed.
So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to us again this week. Greatly appreciate it. Keep on listening. And we'll talk to you again next week. And as always, may the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you always.